In parts of Ontario, people are shoveling and plowing their way out after a major weekend snowstorm. A key highway connecting the Muskoka region to the Toronto area should fully reopen this afternoon. In the town of Gravenhurst, 140 centimetres fell, prompting officials there to declare a state of emergency as they struggle to clear roads from fallen trees and abandoned cars. The CBC's Mark Carcasole has more details. And so, Mark, we were talking about just the amount.
Yeah.
I mean, we're used to, it's Canada, we're used to like big snowstorms.
Sure.
But 140 centimetres all basically at once is a lot of snow.
It's a sight to see. You saw the footage there when you've got, piles of snow feet high on top of cars and whatever the case may be. It's something to see. Like you mentioned, Andrew, these areas specifically are used to having snow this time of year, but this amount this fast, not so much. And that's kind of what happened, is this large amount just kind of snuck up on everyone and made for real havoc over the weekend in those areas of central Ontario along Highway 11, which is a crucial arterial highway through what some refer to as cottage country in Ontario. Gravenhurst, as you mentioned, 140 centimetres, having to declare a state of emergency. We'll discuss a little bit about a little more about them in a second, but across the affected region, 60,000 customers were left without power. That number has slowly been whittled down over the course of the last couple days, and there are only, depending on where you're talking about, maybe a couple thousand customers still without power. But nonetheless, there are still vehicles stranded on that highway, trees down, hydro lines down. It is a major disaster zone. People were stranded in their vehicles on Highway 11 because the snow just crept up on them so fast. They couldn't keep going. They couldn't get out of their vehicles. Emergency crews had to jump on snowmobiles to get onto the highway, get them out of their vehicles, and in the Gravenhurst case, get them into the town hall for shelter for the day and for some food and a little warmth and entertainment. Here's the mayor of Gravenhurst, Heidi Lorenz, who's telling people the cleanup operation is still going, so please stay out of the way.
If you can stay at home, stay at home. Some of the challenges we've had are cars that have been stuck. So, our plow gets 40 feet or half a kilometre, and they have to have a car towed.
Now, just about 20 minutes north of Gravenhurst in Bracebridge, things were a little better, but not much. Again, a lot of people stranded, a lot of people without power. The mayor of Bracebridge spoke to CBC News Network today and says, like I said earlier, they're used to snow this time of year, but this was a little different.
This one here was, very quick. That meter of snow over the 2-day period just really kind of locked everyone down and made it absolutely impossible to get equipment out and start getting resources where they were needed.
Now from central Ontario, let's go over to the west coast in BC, which also got hit with a lot of snow. The north coast of BC was expected to get somewhere around 40 centimetres of snow by the end of that storm. Now, this footage in Prince George is actually quite beautiful. You get the scope of how much snow there was. This isn't an urban area, so this footage is gorgeous to look at, not really inconveniencing anyone, but you've got to remember people trying to get around, people just trying to get out of their homes. You can see a fella digging out there. It's also, it's bogged down a lot of people. No state of emergency there, though. The thing is that the weather there is warming up, so it's going to turn into snow, which is going to make things really slushy and slippery.
Okay, so on the other side of the border, lake effect snow has inundated several Great Lakes states. It's interesting because, Toronto's on a Great Lake, and it just depends on where you are on the Great Lakes and whether or not you get impacted. Toronto, we didn't get, I don't think there was any snow on the weekend, maybe a couple of flakes, but nothing that stayed on the ground. But other areas, wow, were they ever slammed?
Yeah, and it matters specifically down to the town or city that you're in, too. So New York State, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, all hit with this lake effect snow. Some areas getting over 60 centimetres of snow, expected to possibly accumulate up to over 100 centimetres when all is said and done. Some areas had some snow on the ground already, it sounds like. Areas off of Lakes Ontario and Erie in Pennsylvania and New York, the hardest hit. The governors of both of those states, New York and Pennsylvania, have made disaster declarations, called in the National Guard to help clear out the snow, telling people, just like you heard the mayor of Gravenhurst earlier, stay off the roads, let our crews do their thing, let our crews do their work. The Buffalo Bills had a game on Sunday, Highmark Stadium, and the fans, and it's not the first time this has happened, the fans actually had to go and pitch in on the cleanup effort to get the game underway.
Is that right? All right. Mark, thank you.